So
maybe
I had a topic.
Okay.
Did you see that Joe Rogan signed a
mine.
100 million? No, it's not.
Okay.
Come on.
It's Kyle's. I totally wasn't about to talk about the same thing.
No, you weren't.
I forgot to write that one down, of all things. That's such huge news.
Definitely
so anyway, lay it out for us, Kyle.
Rogan signed a $100 million deal with Spotify, and starting I think in September, all of his content is going to be available over on Spotify. It's starting to sound like an ad read, but I'm just excited for Joe Rogan.
Exclusively on Spotify.
Yeah, eventually it'll be exclusively on Spotify. Like if you want to watch his show the way you've been watching it, you got to head on over to Spotify, but it's free. You don't have to like make some sort of special account or like a paid account or anything like that. You can just, his content is going to be Spotify content, and it'll be still produced and created in the same way, in the same format, because he's not going to be an employee of Spotify. It's the same show. It's just over there now.
Does Spotify even have video?
Dude, this is...
Yeah.
The Spotify does videos? I had no idea.
Well, they're going to have to, because that's what he's doing. I don't know anything about Spotify, but I know that he's going there, and that the video episode version of his show will be on Spotify. So hence Spotify does video.
Good for him.
Oh, I didn't...
$100 million. That's awesome.
So, according to my Twitch chat, the most reliable source on the internet, there'll still be
reliable as mine.
Yeah, right? There'll still be highlights on YouTube. I don't know if that's true or not. If it is, I think it's smart, right? Like, heck, when I did my channel, I had a Facebook page that I would post to, and I was on Twitter a lot, engaging with people, and all those things were just designed to be a little web that would attract you to my YouTube channel, right? You know, a thing to keep people engaged. Maybe some guy sees me on Twitter or Facebook that wouldn't have otherwise caught my new video. They'd be smart to put it on YouTube, and that could be a funnel that leads people who are interested in a show into Spotify. Because for me, I mean, I don't know what their new platform will be like, but the Jerry show ends as soon as he leaves YouTube. For me, I don't see myself changing platforms to follow him over there. If he's not doing, I watch more Jerry highlights than I watched the full show from beginning to end. And if the highlights aren't on YouTube anymore, then he leaves my universe.
I watch the whole show. I pick the guests that I like, and I watch those. If it's someone I've never heard of or someone I dislike, which happens occasionally, I skip over those. But I probably watch 30-40% of his shows in their entirety in video format. So I'll head on over to Spotify. You know, like why not?
Yeah,
It's
I mean, I
it's
have
not
Spotify.
Like, I don't have to. It's not like I got to walk across town or something. I just type at Spotify and it's there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, great for him though. It sounds like he's getting like a fucking Stern type deal. $100 million. That's
Not only
awesome.
is that like Stern,
I mean,
like
he's
money,
way
I
bigger than
guess.
Stern at this point in time.
Yeah, but I feel like Spotify's getting a Stern type deal. I think that Sirius, is it Sirius? You know, their platform was amazingly supported by Stern. There are certain people who would pay $10 a month for Stern. Kyle, okay? They're like, if you took Stern off of Sirius, I think a lot of people would leave Sirius. And I don't know what the numbers are. They're from my head, but maybe a quarter or a third of their viewer base would not find it worth the money had it not been for Stern. And Spotify may get a similar situation with Rogan. He might make that platform the one that Apple can't compete with, or the one that Pandora can't compete with. It's the one that has JRE.
I'm super happy for him. That's awesome. That's an enormous amount of money. He was already making millions and millions a year, but this is a gigantic amount of money that he just has made.
Yeah.
Invest in isolation tanks and fucking
He could start his own UFC.
I disagree.
head polish and kettlebells.
Here's what I think.
HGH.
I think JRE nailed the timing of it. I like his show, and I think I like Joe Rogan. Like I'm cool with that. But I also think he's at the peak of his bell curve. I think that there's a lot of people who have seen it enough. You know, there's this, his Reddit's turned against him. You know, it's like you could, if I told you what the topic is, I'd tell you how Joe will respond to it and what he'll say. They're picking him apart. Like the tides are turning a little bit on the unchecked fanaticism that he had 2 years ago. And he's selling, I think, at the top of his bell curve. I could be wrong. I often
I don't-
predict
I don't-
these things
I don't-
too early. You know, I predict
don't watch it
FPS
nearly
Russia
as much.
wouldn't last past pumpkin season. So, you know, I don't know what he'll do after pumpkin stops selling.
Yes.
That's the whole point of his channel.
It'd be funny if Kyle bought into that too. He's like, they're like, we want to sign you to do the AA12 video. For last time, this is about pumpkin. This is pumpkin channel.
I'm negotiating in
Sorry,
the
we're
accent.
going to pay you $400,000 for this. Kyle, please just do it for me. Just one video, not about pumpkins. If there's no artistic, and then they just doing different accents. There's no artistic integrity to pumpkin channel. I am done.
Right? But I wonder.
What about squash, Kyle? Squash. That is not specific type of pumpkin. I prefer.
I wonder if anyone else listening to this sees the same like writing on the wall that I do, or perhaps I'm crazy. I'm alluding to something.
I think he's getting I think he's getting more and more A-list guests. I think he's only getting bigger as it goes. And I think his subreddit has a little fun with him, but I think that they are less than 1% of his total fan base. If anything, people hate Brendan Schaub.
Yes. Well, Brendan Schwab's show is growing too. He should sell.
I mean, I'm
People hate
I'm
him.
sure that if Rogan can get him on Spotify somehow, he will. He'll get some sort of junior deal.
I need to be
You know.
Rogan's. I want to get on the Rogan gravy train, right? Like,
You just gotta just agree with everything he says and be 240 pounds.
I can do that. That's actually brilliant. I just keep eating and agree with everything I'm practicing now.
I do dislike Schaub quite a
Really?
bit. He
Well,
he just never has anything original to say, and when he's on there with Rogan, he's just everything he says is just like absolutely, definitely, oh yeah, we're gonna be like Coca-Cola is the best soda, and Schaub will instantly be like the best. like he all he does is amplify everything Rogan says in every single situation. You could find the times that they've disagreed on something, and then Rogan didn't change Schaub's mind by the end of the discussion on one hand. Like it never happens.
I see a lot of that, and I was going to describe it in a similar way. I don't think Schaub, I think, is very insightful. Like he doesn't bring his own thoughts and opinions very often. He just
shocking. He looks so intellectual.
Well, Joe doesn't look
His
intellectual,
background of
but he
being
is.
punched in the head.
I could say that about Rogan, but Rogan somehow he's like a professional communicator meathead, and that brings these two parallel aspects to all he's intellectually curious, and he brings that to every conversation, and it can make for some great conversations.
Yeah.
And Joe's good at his
I would say
job.
that Joe's successful because, well, he's got the reach of anyone at this point. Kyle's right. Like I also think Joe's more likely to trend up than down because at this point, like he's having not like jokey presidential candidates like Bernie, like real presidential candidates on there, and they're getting real reach out of it. Like
I wish he'd get Biden.
Oh,
Ew.
that would be hilarious if he could get Biden. Biden and Trump, same time. It's a secret setup. Neither one knows the other one's coming. That would be great. I'd listen to that one. I don't listen to that much Joe Rogan, but his skill isn't that he's insightful. It's that he's inquisitive. Like he's got a million different questions for every person that comes on there, and he seems genuinely interested from what I've heard. Like,
And a lot of times with the questions that I have, and I feel like a professional interviewer, some guy on fucking Dateline or ABC, they wouldn't ask the questions that I want to know.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bunch of nonsense. Rogan asks questions, and I'm like, yeah. What about that? You know, when he asked Elon Musk, so how long before we're flying? How long before I can mentally control a rat and send it to do my bidding?
Yeah, see stuff like or like the dinosaur thing he did a while back. There's that clip where like he had some paleontologist on. I've watched. It was like a half-hour clip from probably 5 years ago, and Joe brings up like, so like the way a normal interviewer would do it would be like, so all these people saying dinosaurs don't exist, that's simply silliness, correct? And then that guy would be like, absolutely, we have so much evidence, a preponderance of it, there's no reason to even address it. Joe's like, no, I want to spend like half an hour, pull up that guy who says that like raptors are made up.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna watch this whole thing, and you're gonna make fun of it. Perfect. Let's do it.
I want
Yes,
to
this is what I wanted to watch. Like,
I want you to watch 30 minutes of a man mocking your life's journey and then have you respond live on camera. Let's go. And
Yeah,
by the
see,
time
that's
they've like
great.
watched the clip, the paleontologist is like, all right, well, I'm fucking livid. All right. First of all, that guy is a communist, just so you know. Like just like personal attacks on this guy and like breaking
very
down
funny.
why this other guy's a piece of shit. Yeah, I love those episodes. That guy has been on with Graham Hancock, the guy who has the theory about the ancient civilizations being killed by the comet and all that shit. So they fit in well together because one can speak on soil samples and fossilization records and stuff like that, and the other can speak on archaeological evidence, and they can kind of go back and forth and paint a really cool picture. Yeah, I love the show. I like when he's got space nerds on there, and he's got fucking industry
Steve
leaders
Jobs.
and politicians, comedians, MMA fighters. It's like these are a few of my favorite things. Like I like all that shit.
You know why I want Biden on his show? I want to see him in long form, right?
Mhm.
Like Joe's gone crazy about how Biden is this headed into the woods at night with a flashlight with dying batteries, right?
Yeah.
That's the
True.
Joe Biden analogy. And you say it's true. I want to see it in long form. Joe Biden did a 2-hour debate with Bernie Sanders and looked perfectly fine the entire time. There were no gaffes, there were no problems, right? If you watch his highlights on Twitter and take your views from there, do you think that this guy is a gaffe machine? You could do the same thing to Trump, but people don't. I want to see him on the JRE in long form and see if he fucks up or not. And that would give me a better lens through which to form an opinion on him than what I've seen already, which is the more structured, controlled environments.
Mr. Vice President, would you please put this small puzzle together? There are 8 pieces.
I hung out with black kids in the 70s too. That's really that's great.
We
You
know
haven't
about
even
the black
smoked
children.
yet, Joe. You haven't even. You want to get high, Joe? It's like, well, 1 second. Joe goes in the bathroom and calls the police.
Do that. Have Joe talk
Rogan.
about Joe Rogan. Have Joe and Joe. Wow, just realized
Yeah.
that have them debate marijuana. I saw Joe debate Steven Crowder on marijuana. One of the few times I've seen him kind of heated. And Rogan did a great job. And Crowder talks about stuff like this for a living, and Rogan held his own, if not won. So
It's so funny that would be the thing that Rogan gets like. It's like
Yeah.
you don't love pot. What do you mean you don't love pot?
in
Things
particular,
like
he
that,
didn't love
I've-
pot legalization, and Joe was all for it.
Yeah, he did an equally good job back in the day, going back and forth with one of those ESPN guys about about mixed martial arts and how it was human cockfighting
Versus
and, you know,
boxing, right? It was against
versus-
a boxing fanatic. Yeah. That was early. That was before the JRE, I think. But it was
Yeah, he's got all his hair. Yeah, that's a while ago.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm really happy for him. I'm glad he's making all that money. That's great. He'll be able to buy so much fucking elk meat. Oh my god.
He doesn't buy elk meat. He
I wonder
runs
what
his
the
own.
so
That's true.
according to those totally unreliable net worth estimators online, Rogan was already worth like 30 or 40 million. I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's say this $100 million deal is true, and that adds, I don't know, $450 million to his net worth, right? Like I'm trying to take out taxes.
Okay.
Whatever
Yeah.
portion.
Worst
other
case
people
scenario,
own.
he's getting 50.
My Twitch chat says Jamie gets 10%, so that's undeniable.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not true.
Yeah, the guy who sets the cameras up and Googles ridiculous things, he gets $10
Are
million.
you
out of
suggesting I
this.
misread it? Because I read it clearly. It was right
This-
there in the Twitch
This
chat.
would be like if we sold the show and all of a sudden Mitty Smitty had to get 8% out of it or something like that. It's like, well, he does mod my chat occasionally. All right, you count that. He plays a lot of games with Kyle. All right, going back to PUBG.
Most
all right? He's put
reliable
his years
source
in.
on the internet.
I'm sorry, Mitty, but you probably don't get a percentage of the gross.
But anyway, of that, if he sells it for $100 million, let's assume that maybe half-ish actually lands in his bank account. Maybe there's other partners. I don't know. Maybe more. Maybe
For
2/3.
you.
What does that do to his life? If he goes from
Nothing.
being worth $30 million to 90,
Nothing.
Yeah,
he's already got
the same.
a super nice house, and he's already got his family established, and he's got all the toys he could want, and he already does all of his favorite hobbies whenever he wants. He already has a schedule he makes himself. Nothing's going to change.
does it impact his motivation on the show? Because now I feel like he's previous to the Spotify deal. I feel like he's motivated by growth, maybe by money, fame. I don't know. Something's motivating him to do like a
Well, there's a contract in place now. There's going to
Right.
be
Well-
probably a minimum amount of shows per month or per year or per quarter.
yes, but he already knows the money amount, right? So like, let's say I'm a big time Twitch streamer. I go to Mixer and they say, Woody, you get paid this much and you have to stream 20 hours a week. I'm like, fuck. Doesn't say shit in here about how popular I am. So I start streaming, I don't know, the lowest effort shit I can find. My favorite game instead of a popular game. You know, like it will change whatever motivates you because you already know the.
But he already does that. He already like puts on the shows that he loves.
True.
Brendan Schaub was the guest 3 shows ago. All right, like he puts his friends on. He puts people that he likes on. Tony Hawk was the guest today. I don't think Tony Hawk's knocking any barn doors down with his popularity anymore. Like he was.
Great point.
I mean,
yeah, I see where you're headed on this. Joe already does what Joe wants to do. That's why he's not on this show. If Joe was desperate for popularity, we'd introduce him to 100,000 people or something, right? But Joe does what Joe wants to do. There's no, like, if we were like, Joe, we'll give you 10 grand to get you, he'd be like, yeah, suck my dick. You know, if we offered
what are we talking about, like 3 seconds of work? Because I'll like pop in and go, ha ha! And then
I don't think he would.
Check.
I don't think if we offered him $3 million, he'd be willing to do something he doesn't want to do. Right? Like Kevin Smith tried to get him in a movie for a little cameo for money, like $1 million or something. I don't know the money amount, but Joe was like, yeah, that's not something I want to do. And Kevin Smith is like, that's so on brand for you. Just to flip Kevin's the middle finger and say, I only do what I feel like doing.
Well, that's a great place to be.
Yes.
Like, why? Less people are going to see whatever movie he decides to cameo in than will listen to a podcast he puts out over the course of a month. Like, not even close. He's bigger than Stern. He's bigger than everyone at this point. Nobody holds a candle. The only person I can think of with like big active listeners, maybe Rush Limbaugh.
Sean Hannity's quite big.
Enormously popular. Yeah, probably like Rush and Joe.
The people with nationally syndicated radio shows that go on daily. And it depends how you like aggregate.
And how you parse out, how many people are actually.
Because like Sean Hannity does like his radio show and then his TV show at night. Do we add both those numbers together, even though there's overlap? Do we even add them at all? You know, and then with Stern, there really is no very accurate way to determine his numbers. Last time I checked, Sirius had around 35 or 40 million subscribers, paying subscribers, mind you. Most of them are there for him. I know the only reason I was paying for years was for him. It was only when his content shifted and became so lame. I was paying really for the best ofs because they had the 2 channels. They had Sirius 100 and 101, and I believe on 101 it's all reruns going back to like the 80s or something like that. And I was listening to all of that. It took me like 3 years to like listen to his whole fucking catalog of shit, thousands of hours, every road trip, just playing out, old Stern, best of Stern. And then when you finally get through that catalog and get to like, all right, let's see what he's doing today. It's like, he's doing a really terrible interview with Charlize Theron. I don't
Boo.
care.
Who cares about Charlize Theron?
I mean, I would maybe if he interviewed her like the way he would have interviewed her in 1993.
Right, got her to talk about her wedding night or masturbation or something.
Yeah. Like I notice you've got some big labia down there. I always the talk around town is your labia. If he was just a piece of shit to these celebrities, that's what I enjoy. I think I always enjoyed the sex questions and stuff, but also that really treated them with a lot of disrespect and disdain, and you could tell that sometimes they were not accustomed to that.
O&A had that same vibe of treating celebrities kind of shitty, and it was nice.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but I took a different vibe from it. I feel like he got celebrities to open up in a way they never would on any other platform. Like I suspect we got the version of Britney Spears that her friends got because Howard just, I don't know. I don't want to say weaseled or slicked his way into making someone feel comfortable, but that's maybe you get the intent without the evil.
Yeah, he massages them, and when he lulls them into complacency, and then he sort of hits them with those harder questions toward the end of the interview. That's sort of his style, but it's gotten less and less entertaining over the years to the point where I don't care about it anymore. And I realized I hadn't turned it on in weeks and weeks, and so I just stopped paying the bill.
So I like the Joe Rogan show, but I'm curious about Joe Rogan's story and how the Spotify changes it, if at all. Right? We've established he only does what he wants to do, so he could just keep doing that. Or I don't know. Now is he?
Maybe there's better content now. Maybe part of this is like maybe I'd love to see him do video of one of these hunting trips that he goes on. I'd love to see like a TV show that's just his hunting season, that it's him like packing up his gear at his house and his buddies are coming over to meet with him, and maybe you throw in Brian Callen or Brennan Schaub and they're sort of a fish out of water, and then they fly out to Alberta or wherever the fuck and get their gear and meet with the guide and go through a whole hunting season, including like whatever they're doing when they get back to the lodge, and the butchering of the meat and the cooking and the hunting and the eating and the bullshitting.
Might be.
I'd like to see all that.
But you know where that falls off brand? I don't think he wants to do that. I don't think he wants to share that. Like I feel like Joe's like, that's my me time. And
he's done something like that before called Shooting the Shit or something like that, where it was like him and Brian Callen out hunting. But I want something really in depth. Yeah.
To a Meat Eater or something. Or
yeah, something like that.
maybe
But I want something that's
yeah.
more about him and really like following right on his shoulder like a parrot. I'd like to get more into his life. I'd like to know about his home life, and like I'd like to see his garage full of cars the way they do with Jay Leno. And
Yeah.
Is he a
that
big
sort of
car
thing.
guy? I
He
didn't even
is.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's super into cars. He bought a $250,000 Tesla and he's like, Elon did me a favor coming on the show, so I bought a Tesla and kind of hit it back. It's like, what? If Elon comes on the show, I still can't buy that Tesla.
Oh, come on, you get the 3 at least.
But I want to continue not to work. I don't want to. Joe can do both. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is go ahead, Kyle.
I was gonna say I'm gonna get that Tesla truck next year. I think it's between that Tesla truck or a new Camaro. I haven't decided.
It also depends where you live, maybe. I just in my head, I'm like, if you go to a place that snows, the Camaro might be the wrong choice.
I know. That's what's in my head as well. It's like shit.
You might need
Depending
two
on
cars, Kyle.
I
You might
mean,
have a 2-car problem.
we could make that happen too. But in any case, very happy for Joe Rogan. Very cool stuff.
Yeah, I've got nothing but love for him and curiosity for his story, right? Like, probably a lot of people do this, but I'm just like, I'm interested. Chael Sonnen's another great one, right? I've enjoyed watching Chael Sonnen's life arc since I started following him, I don't know, 10 years ago, whatever it was. I find it interesting. He has this opportunity magnet of a YouTube channel now where he talks about MMA things, and I wonder where that takes him. Does it make him an ESPN broadcaster going forward? Does it give him a job like Daniel Cormier's? Does he become the next Dana White? Like, where's Chael Sonnen's career arc is super fascinating to me, and I like to hear him do his thing.